Welcome, guys, to the Brazooka podcast. My name is Vinny. I have a very, very special guest today. I'm going to introduce you to him right now. But before I do, I'm going to let you guys know we're going to land this plane right today. I'm going to be your stewardess today. No, stewardess isn't the right word. I'm going to land this plane. The reason why I'm talking about planes is because my man is a pilot. Not only a pilot, but Army.
Air Force.
Air Force. Oh, my goodness.
Get it right.
Moses, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Is it you prefer Moses or Moises?
Moses.
Moses.
Make it easier for everyone.
Got it.
Even Brazilians can pronounce Moses.
That's right. Moses. Where did exactly we meet? I wanted to backtrack on exactly when we first met. It was back like in the 90 what, like 5?
Oof.
Yeah, dude. Talk about the 10-year challenge, dude.
Yeah. Man, I think we were both running around in church and being yelled at, told to stop running.
That's right. It was in church, and it was like in the early 90s. And that's the cool thing about a lot of the people that I'm going to talk to. Most people I know, they're usually Brazilian and Americans, or people who came here.
Yeah.
And their parents were straight up Brazilian, and they had no choice but to be like infiltrated in the culture. But interesting thing is that, like, where was those people's options to go when you come to America? Like, if you didn't have a community to go to, you were screwed. So the first place people would go to, and rightfully so, and there's a huge community in Brazil around the like evangelical church or a religious movement, whatever. They found themselves in Newark, in Elizabeth, and did you guys go straight to where you guys are at, or at least?
So about where we're living or where we went to church?
Where you guys where you guys are at now?
No. It was kind of a progression. We were going to we went to the same church in Elizabeth,
right?
You know, well, no, you guys were in Newark, but you know, we had the whole back and forth thing with those two, and then my dad was asked to go pastor a church in Riverside, and then that's when we moved to where they live now, and that was back in 2001.
Right. Well, were you born in Brazil or here?
Yeah, I was born in Goiânia.
In Goiânia.
So
how old were you when you were over there, or how old were you until you left there?
Oh, we moved here when I was 5.
Okay, same, right around the same age. I think I was 4.
Yeah.
But I remember, dude, I have like some memories of just being a little kid. And people think, oh, no way, you were 3 or 4, you have no memories. You got memories, man. I have memories of like little glimpses of me playing in the freaking, in the dirt, ironically, it's like in the dirt.
You're making it sound like it's a third
I know.
world country.
I mean, it's, I guess they still are a third world country, but.
No, you got to get it right. It's developing nation.
Developing nation. Okay, got it.
Don't be offensive.
I want to tell a little funny story. Actually, put you on the spot a little bit because when we went to the shooting range, Moses took me to the shooting range. He took Tyler too. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
Tyler's first time, and I think it was my second time, or my first time in the area at least. But the funniest thing, this guy shows up to the shooting range with, no joke, a World War II canister of ammunition. And I'll never forget that, dude. You came in double fisting a crate of ammo. Let me see if I can pull up an image of it. I'm going to pull it up and try to show people here.
It's more convenient that way.
No. People need to see. People need to see what I was seeing. This is exactly what this guy brought to the shooting range.
Didn't I bring 2?
I think you brought 2.
Yeah, I brought 2.
Look at the size of these things.
Yeah, it's a 50 cal ammo can.
That is huge.
Good stuff.
The face you made when you told me, dude, drive slow when we're going there. You're terrified of getting pulled over. You're like, we're in Jersey.
Well, the funny thing is like we weren't doing anything wrong. Like we were completely legal.
We're going to the shooting range.
Yeah, we're doing everything the law was requiring us to do, but still, it's like, man, it's just a different environment here, and you know, I don't want to deal with the hassle, you know. So, but it's like when I lived in Georgia for 4 years, like, dude, you can literally drive around with a machine gun if you legally owned it. You could literally drive around with a loaded machine gun in the trunk of your car, and cops couldn't tell you anything.
Now we're talking machine gun, not
like full auto.
What? In Georgia right now?
Well, no, you can. Well, in New Jersey you can't, but you can you can buy a fully automatic rifle.
You need a license for it.
Yeah, you do need a license. It's a quite extensive background check, but you can own one. You know, it is possible. It's a huge hassle, but it's possible. But in like just certain states, like you know, it's a different mindset altogether. So here, I just would rather avoid the inconvenience of having to deal with it. You
Now,
know,
where did you get all the? I'm assuming all the firearms experience in the Air Force.
actually, funny thing enough, it wasn't as much
It
there.
wasn't.
No, so I did shoot in the military, but the Air Force isn't very big on firearms training.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do get training. Don't get me wrong, but it's not nearly as extensive as like say the Marines or the Army. And so I enjoyed it. Like you know, it's funny because growing up as a Brazilian kid here, the only people that we were made to think that own guns, at least back in Brazil, are cops and criminals.
Cops and the bad guys.
Yeah, and sometimes depending on you couldn't tell the difference between the two. But so then one day, you know, when I got into the military, the first time I ever touched a weapon, like first time, and it turns out I was actually pretty good at it, and so I kind of developed an interest in it and kind of, you know, slowly pursued it while I was in the military, like outside of, you know, what I would, what was required of me to do in the military. But
I got a video here. Hold on.
oh boy,
Let's see what this shot looks like.
this is probably yeah, this is definitely good.
You're judging yourself, right? You're like,
Oh,
took
dude.
out the clip wrong. You didn't put your index finger on the right area.
That swinging target, I'm just like unloading on it.
You're like, die, devil bird!
But so, yeah, I just pursued it, and then like in college, I had a friend of mine who introduced me to competitive shooting, and developed a desire to do that. And then when I moved to Georgia, that's when I really like took it on like full force. I started competing quite a bit, and I've loved it ever since. And one of the things that like I really enjoy doing, you know, talking about you and I going to the range, is like bring other people, introducing them to it, and especially because like it really kind of breaks down misconceptions that people have about firearms and stuff. And the funny thing is I've never had anybody who I've taken to the range that didn't have fun, that didn't
Yo,
enjoy it.
it's fun, man. You can't argue with it, man. I mean, it does take away the stigma. The first time I ever grabbed a gun, it's just that whole like it's a criminal thing.
Yeah.
It's weird, dude. But
Yeah, and so like when we went, like, and the other thing I always like to do is discuss like why we as you know people living in the United States are allowed to have guns and stuff and so forth. You look, for example, perfect example is Hong Kong right now. There are protesters. They're literally shooting arrows at cops. That are
I've seen that. I've seen a picture of
and
it.
now the police officers are using live ammunition, meaning real bullets, at protesters. And so these students have no other choice as far as to repel back what's going on there. Now, I don't know exactly all the details, but they're using bows. And, you know, and people think it's like, oh, like politicians like to paint, oh, guns are just for hunting, and it's not. The founding fathers are very clear that it is meant for, to keep the government in line, basically.
Yeah, look, here's an image of it. I'm gonna throw it up. Oh, you got your wire hitting over there.
Yeah.
Let me, dude. I'm
Yeah, there's a one picture right there.
Yeah, that's it. Look at that, dude. And it's the slippery slope. I want to get into some articles that I found over the weeks about slippery slope, dude. Because everyone thinks, oh, it's America. It's never gonna get that bad, dude. I think America is one of the, and parts of Europe is a few lights that's on, you know. And once, if imagine if there was no, you know, America or Western, you know, sort of, I guess, civilization like we have it now.
Yeah.
It would have been dark. Look at the way China's, you know, at right now.
Yeah.
Middle East.
It'd be very chaotic.
Let me put on a freaking jacket. I'm freezing. But yeah, man, it's definitely, it's crazy to hear what's going on out there.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because people are like, well, America shouldn't be the world police, and to be honest, I don't think we should. I think it should be a very much a collective effort, which actually should be the UN. But they're about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Like they deliberate. I mean, there's been so many instances where they've deliberated while things were happening when they should have acted.
Been acting.
And so the U.S. has to come down and take care of stuff that needs to happen right then and there.
But we've talked about that, right? Remember we were talking about like when that Senator Crenshaw guy was sort of
Dan
criticizing him for criticizing Trump for not staying in Syria, and like
Mm-hmm.
when is it? When do we just stay? When do we get out? And then you mentioned, and I want to try to keep it as personal as possible, because you got a lot of backstory that you probably I want to get into with you, but you said you worked at a military base, right?
Yeah.
That that sometimes you would see dudes flying, fallen soldiers, basically.
Yeah, Dover Air Force Base. That's literally where the Department of Defense mortuary is, and so everyone who is killed overseas in any kind of conflict or whatever is brought to Dover. Actually, as a matter of fact, there were 2 Apache pilots, that were killed this week, and they were just flown into Dover, and the president was there.
Mm.
And I've seen many, many times during my 6 years there that, president flew in, and it was big protocol, like we all leave the flight line and stuff like that, and it's just the president, the families, and that airplane with the remains of the fallen service member. So during my 6 years there, man, I can tell you how many people I saw, come back in that way. So.
And I'm sure you would probably see the families, and that's what we're talking about. Is like end of the day, it's our guys, it's your cousin, it's your brother,
Mm-hmm.
it's your boy down the street, it's your old high school,
Yeah.
basketball teammate. So at the end of the day, part of you is just like, bro, just bring everybody home, just get everybody back,
Yeah, and the whole thing with like what you were mentioning with the Kurds in Syria and stuff like that, it's like if you kind of look at the background of that part of the world, they've been fighting each other way before we were even a country.
Thousands of years, bro.
They've been fighting each other, and so for their own reasons, and they have their own reasons, and we got to respect that. May not agree with it all the time, but it is what it is. And so, like you're saying, at what point, do we make the decision of like, okay, is this worth it for us to stay here? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about in the sense of like, oh, we should abandon our allies or anything like that. Not we shouldn't be looking at that. But as the United States, of like, if we're in a conflict, to what end is this benefiting us as a country?
Right.
And if you can't answer that, then it might be time to take a look at, maybe we should look at getting out of this, or taking a less active role.
And then like I don't like calling it my conspiracy side comes in, but bro, you think about all the money that the military industrial complex makes. There's billions and trillions of dollars to be made from people who invest tons of money into elections. I mean, you have to get money out of elections to get anything close to like something proper. But I don't even know where would you start. How about like you're talking about the fallen soldiers who would come in? What exactly happened to the guys that killed Bin Laden? Do you hear about that?
The SEALs?
The SEALs who killed Bin Laden. What happened to them?
Well, one of them's famous on Instagram, right? The guy who got him, Rob O'Neill.
Well, supposedly the guy who got him. I don't even know what to believe anymore, dude.
I mean,
because apparently what I heard was the other guys who were involved all died in a Apache airplane crash. You hear about that? Like a couple of them ended up dying.
Yeah, I don't know all the details on that, but I do know. I know Rob O'Neill, who's the guy that,
Yeah, he was getting crap for writing a book about it, and he shouldn't have. And
it's funny because years past, the special operations community had a sense of mysticism to them. Like people thought these guys were literal gods that could do anything.
To Black Ops,
right? Because we knew very little about them. Now they're all writing books.
Right.
All of them are writing books. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but and I've spoken to a few of the guys who are still in that community, and they're like, in a lot of ways, sometimes that's hurting us because what it's doing is it's going to too much detail as to what we do, and so other people
It
are
has to. Any sort of enemy out there
yeah
has to be listening, has to
they're
be
watching.
reading. Of
They're watching.
course.
Like the funny thing is, it's like so you got these guys that'll put like videos of like, and in this instance with this conversation, this friend of mine, he's like, it was a video of guys fast roping down from a helicopter. It was U.S. troops, right? And then he's like, "Hey, check this video out." And it was a video of I think Syrian troops rappelling down a helicopter. It looked identical.
They
So
learn.
these
Yeah.
guys are taking our tactics and using it like so. Yeah, I don't mind guys writing books and stuff, but at the same time, it's like you got to really be careful as to what you talk about because in the military they talked a lot about OPSEC, operational security. So you had to really be careful what you talked about, and you know because you don't know how it's going to affect what's going on currently or how people can piece together even little things that you think are insignificant. They take a little piece here, a little piece there, and next thing you know, they formed a puzzle.
Mm.
And they have a big picture
Oh yeah.
idea of what's going on. And, they may not get information exclusively from you, but they'll get it from other sources. So that's kind of one of the things where I wish these guys were, and I haven't read like a lot of these books that are out there. There's just so many right now. Like I read American Sniper from Chris Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a badass book.
Yeah.
So, but he just talks about his accounts of like, this
I was
is what
gonna ask, did
happened.
he write it or did they do an autobiography? Because
No, he wrote it.
passed away, right?
Yeah, he wrote it. He wrote it before he passed away, and the movie.
Well, give a little summary of who he was for people who don't know.
So Chris Kyle is the most as of
Highest
right
kill
now,
streak.
yeah, he's the most. He's got the nuke strike.
He definitely has the news track.
So right now he has the highest confirmed kill for any U.S. sniper. That's
Whoa.
of all the branches, and that's not something to. And I think it's funny because like he has the highest confirmed, which means they went there, verified that the guy he shot is dead, and then there's the unconfirmed count, which means I shot him. I'm pretty sure he's dead based off of where I hit him,
That's
but we
crazy.
can't find him. And a lot of times, like during engagements, and he would write about this, and actually a lot of guys write about it. It's like during engagements, when the firefight was over, the insurgents would remove their dead away
Right.
if they could.
Because they thought they would capture them and do whatever.
Right, so they didn't know what the effect was of that fight on the enemy.
Wow, dude.
So a lot of times they weren't able to confirm certain things. But Chris Kyle, I think the movie actually was kind of based on the book, but not necessarily. But I think the movie American Sniper did a really good job of conveying now I'm not a SEAL, but the home life versus deployed life. And
Right.
anybody I've talked to, there's always this dynamic of being away and then coming back home and all this other stuff. And so I think it portrayed. It was actually the first time I've seen like a movie like that kind of stands in my mind that really showed the two worlds of being deployed and then
Right.
you have a family at home. His wife was pregnant while he was deployed.
And people like to downplay that movie because it's like, oh, it's a conservative leaning war movie. But everyone said, like, a lot of people said objectively that it was a good movie all around. That it was a good depiction. It was well said, a well told story. you know?
Actually, and the funny thing is, Kyle's dad. I don't know how true this is, but it wouldn't surprise me because he's from Texas. His dad threatened Clint Eastwood, and Bradley Cooper says, "Do not defame my son, or I'll kill you." Something to that effect, right? And I'm like, that would make if I was Clint Eastwood, that would make me want to make the movie even more
Oh yeah,
because it's just like it's
that's right. It was Clint Eastwood.
yeah, and so and also that is the biggest I've ever seen Bradley Cooper. He is a monster of a man in that movie. So, but he got pretty jacked for that movie too. But I thought it was a good depiction. And there's another movie that came out not that long ago. It was called 12 Strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's Chris Hemsworth.
When you were in the Air Force, how much flying did you really do?
I was a mechanic.
Okay.
I mostly worked on the aircraft, and occasionally we would travel to, work on planes that were broken in certain areas. And that could range greatly, depending. It could be domestically, it could be overseas and stuff like that. So we did some traveling, but I was never what I would call a door kicker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wasn't the guy going outside the wire. I have a lot of respect for those dudes. It just wasn't where I felt my talent was. You know, and so
And it's not. It's obviously it's not the majority that even do that. Right, there's a selected few that would get chosen to actually, pilot one of those things
oh, you mean as
as an Air Force pilot. Like,
yeah, the Air Force pilots. I mean, it's a pretty it's not that easy to become one because especially well things change now, but back then it was very selective.
yeah,
You know, it was kind of like the military was drawing down, like they're trying to get rid of people. So they weren't actually taking a lot of people to become officers because you have to be an officer to fly in a lot of cases. So back then, they weren't taking a lot of people. And so, but now that's not the case. Now the military's, they kicked out so many people. Now they're like, oh my gosh, we don't have enough people.
yeah.
And now the Air Force, especially, is like, we don't have enough pilots. And so now they're like literally throwing commissions at people.
Wow.
Which is funny because I'm like, wow, really? I was trying to do that. And now you guys are just literally like, if you have a degree in a pulse, you could probably get a commission.
Have you ever played airplane as you were a kid? You're in, basically.
Yeah,
they're looking for guys. Wow, man. But currently you do some flying, right? I've seen some
Yeah,
videos.
I have a private pilot's license. I'm working on my other
Explain to
ratings.
people. It blows my mind how it's one of those things like guns.
Mm-hmm.
Other countries, they wouldn't even imagine the idea of you having a gun. Like, oh, in America, you can just buy a gun. I have a lot of guns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in America, I don't think a lot of people realize either that you can get your pilot's license.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's not like a military thing. You can go and fly an airplane in the
Yeah.
sky. It's amazing, dude. Explain to people what do I need to do? What do they need to do?
All right. Well, it's really not hard.
Is it like a driver's license?
In a lot of ways, yeah, it is.
Oh Lord!
It's more intense.
Please don't tell me it's that easy.
It's more. No. It's not that easy. Conceptually, yes, but it's a lot more work. You know. So the hardest thing about flying airplanes is the knowledge you have to do so safely, right? So the actual act of flying an airplane, I compare it to being a little more complicated than driving a stick shift car, as far as coordination.
Okay.
Because stick shift, you're using both your hands, both your feet, right? Airplanes the same way.
Okay. Now you said it's a little more complicated than driving stick shift. I'm gonna pull up an image of. Give me the planes that you fly. I'm gonna, dude. You can't do that to me, man. But he's not that crazy.
It's a Cessna Skyhawk
Skyhawk.
172.
So badass.
It's really not. It's kind of like this dinky little airplane, but it's fun, man. I'd love it.
Let me take a look.
I've flown a variety of airplanes, but that's the one I'm currently like spending the most time on. But yeah, like, well, that's why you pull this up. Wow, that first one.
What? Dude, that was not.
What are you looking up, man?
I mean, I get Google image too.
I don't know. You want to do that one?
Does these look like anything you fly?
Yeah, that second one over there.
This one?
Yeah, right there, that guy.
Oh man, that'd have been great.
I mean, we should go up sometime and I can show you.
Oh yeah, you don't need to tell me twice, dude.
But yeah, so basically, you need to be. What am I?
Yeah,
17 years
give me
old to be
the basics.
Okay, so you need to be about 17 years old to get the license itself. You need to have minimum of 40 hours of flight time, which most people don't do it in 40 hours. They do it more like 60-ish hours. Some less, some a little more. Just depends. And basically, so you'll spend the first couple hours, with an instructor until they feel like you can handle the airplane safely.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, you'll just fly around the airport a bunch and practice landing and practice taking off and all that other stuff. And because it's not just like driving a car. So, I mean, you know how sometimes you'll drive over a bridge and it's really windy and it starts to like push your car to the side? An airplane, that's even more pronounced in the air. So in the air, that's actually one of the hardest things to learn is doing what's called a crosswind landing. So you're trying to land straight on this piece of tarmac while this wind is trying to push you off of it. and so you have to compensate the aircraft and stuff like that. And so things like that, it sounds harder than it actually is, but with a little bit of practice, anyone can do it. I mean, I've seen 14, 15-year-old kids do it. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, it's not hard. It's just a matter of practice. So once you get to a point to where your instructor feels like, okay, they can handle the aircraft safely, then they'll solo you, which means they get out of the airplane and then you go fly around the airport by yourself. So you're just practicing landing and taking off by yourself.
Wow.
And so then,
how far are you allowed to go? Let's say I have my own airplane, balling out, bought an airplane, got a license. Is there limits to how far I can go?
No.
I can fly from here to freaking Japan if I have enough gasoline.
If your plane can do it, then you can do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's the wild, wild west, dude.
But the thing is that people don't realize is that there's like a highway in the sky that nobody sees. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So like airliners, for example, we live in an area where this is some of the most busy air traffic in the world. Is right where we're
the
at.
Northeast or
Yeah.
New Jersey, New York, Connecticut.
New Jersey, New York, because you got Newark, LaGuardia, and JFK.
Okay.
And what other people don't realize is Teterboro as well. I didn't know this till recently until I started working there. And
wow,
humongous amount or number of aircraft flying in and out. And so in order to be able to do that with a degree of safety, there has to be established routes and procedures to come into each airport. So like depending upon what direction you're coming from, there's a procedure to come into that airport from that direction. And you're constantly talking to controllers. And the controllers, when you get to like what's called controlled airspace near an airport, you are under the jurisdiction of the air traffic controller. So what they tell you to do, you do. So if they tell you to climb, descend, slow down, speed up, you do it. You know what I'm saying? If they tell you to turn a certain direction, you turn that direction because they're literally what's called vectoring. They're maneuvering everybody to get into position to land or take off.
Wow.
So
So the street lights of the sky are basically people saying, nope, don't go there. Turn right.
Red light, green light, red light. So it's that part that is the most challenging part because there's a lot of information you need to know. As a private pilot, so there's different levels of licenses, right? Mm-hmm. So you have your private pilot, which is you're more. There are other licenses below that one, but your more basic one is.
But real quick, this is the easiness that he's talking about here, guys. This is so easy. Look at this. This is great.
It's funny because like a lot of that stuff is repetition. Not all of it, but a good number of it.
Look at that. What's that, like the Bentley of the Air?
Was that
nice,
Airbus? Dude. Yeah, we don't like Airbus. We're more about Boeing.
There's even teams in airplane culture.
There is. The funny thing is like Airbuses are actually a little more comfortable to ride in as a passenger. Uh-huh. But I just like Boeing because I grew up with Boeing, and that's just it. That's an Embraer right there. Those are made in Brazil, obviously.
Oh shoot! Talk about Brazil. They don't have the best records of
air safety.
Safety.
They don't. It's funny. When I was in college, we did. There's a class, and we were doing like a lot of studies on aircraft accidents. Mm-hmm. Dude, you have no idea how many of them were in Brazil.
And you're looking around like, "Oh, it must be rough out there, huh, guys?"
I even asked the instructor. I was like, "Are you doing this on purpose?" Because like they're like, "Well, I don't really know where this one's at," and you hear the guy like cussing in Portuguese.
I got no, it's the video that I'm playing. I was gonna put this pretty gnarly little video I found on YouTube.
Oh, is that the one where it's like some severe turbulence?
Yes.
I haven't seen that.
It's crazy,
I saw
dude.
sound bite of it.
All right, here we go. Hold on a second. It paused.
The funny thing is,
let me get the screen right. There we go. Dude!
Yep.
Wait, I wasn't showing it to the people. Hold on, let them see it. I would freak out.
There's a reason why they tell you to stay buckled up while you're in your seat.
Get out of here, dude. Look, the lady's praying. Oh, I'll be... Dude, that's when I start singing. every hymn, every old school hymn. No new songs, man.
My spectrum cat.
Yeah. My spectrum cat. Dude, all the new songs go out the window. You go
Oh
to
yeah.
straight.
Forget Hillsong. Going back to church. No, man, it's some scary stuff, man. It's no joke. Like that turbulence, and what I really am concerned for is the flight attendants. Like
Because
they're
they're
the
not.
ones walking around,
Yo.
you know. And I've heard of a friend of mine. She is a flight attendant for Qatar. And I don't even know if I should be saying this, but she actually got hurt.
Allegedly, she's a flight attendant for
Yeah,
Qatar.
and they hit some really severe turbulence.
Uh-huh.
And she was in the rest area, and the turbulence hit, and she got launched. And so she got a little injured by it, and so it's pretty serious.
And so
you know?
she's basically a millionaire now because she's gonna sue Qatar.
No,
This is all allegedly, by the way.
Allegedly.
This is all fake. And
no names are given.
but the funny thing is that I looked up some statistics and I heard about it. That's why I looked it up. We have more air, like you said, the busiest traffic in history. The airspace traffic is at its highest in history. Yet the amount of air traffic accidents are continue to go down.
Yeah.
Are continuing to go down. It sort of puts things in perspective of like, you know, flying is really one of the things you shouldn't be scared of.
Because if you were to have, like, let's just say, for example, if every driver had to be trained, like car driver, right, had to have the same level of training as a pilot did, our traffic system would be profoundly better. And that's really one of the reasons why. And that, you know, because pilots have to go through so much training, you have to have so much experience to be able to operate an aircraft like that safely.
Now, tell me something here. I need inside information, since you're a mechanic for. I don't think we said that. People don't know that you do that. Moses is a mechanic.
Yeah, I work.
Give me your official title.
I'm an avionics technician.
That sounds so much hotter, dude. Dude,
I'll leave the name of the company out, but
wait, I'm sure you're dating, right? You're
yeah.
I'm sure that was the first line that you told her. She was like, "Oi, tudo bem?" Because I'm sure she's Brazilian, right?
She's Paulista.
We're gonna get into that as well. And the first thing you said was instead of like, yeah, you know, I fix planes. You said, what is it again?
I'm an avionics technician.
That's it. She's like, "Woo, and nice."
Funny thing is, most people don't even know what that is. They're like, "Oh,
Interesting.
okay, I don't know what that is." I'm like,
Interesting. Now, inside information. Give me this. 2 Southwest pilots live stream video from a plane's bathroom to the cockpit. Flight attendants lawsuit alleges. This is pretty recently. It came out that the lady.
that's last month.
Yeah, last month, right? CNN reports are pretty reliable.
Fake news.
They didn't live stream it. It was a recording. She said that she noticed that one of the pilots had a laptop open or an iPad open, and it had a video of the bathroom, of the guy going to the bathroom. Like one pilot, I guess, went out to go to the bathroom, and the other one came in. You're supposed to ask for someone to come. You know, this sort of protocol. Like you can't have one person alone,
Right. Yeah.
in the cockpit. So they called up the stewardess. They said, "Hey, you know, he's gonna go to the bathroom," and she's like, "Why are we just watching this guy peeing right now?" And so she's sued. I guess she's gonna.
Well, I will say this: we don't put cameras in bathrooms. Like,
Okay.
that's not a thing. That's not for security purposes.
You don't. You don't.
I don't. That's just not a thing I mean, you can buy any, like, you know, camera that has an app associated with it
Yeah, I guess
and
so.
stick it anywhere, you know, and you can live stream it to whatever device you have it on. But yeah, that's just, I don't know why people do that. That doesn't make sense.
It's creepy, right?
Oh, super creepy.
Oh man, talk about, you know, trusting your pilot.
And I have quite a few friends who are airline pilots, and you know, so I get to hear a lot of interesting stories about, you know, all kinds of stuff that they get to encounter.
Here's another insider information I need you to give me on.
Oh boy.
There was a story that, well, how about the situation that happened it was a few months back where it was the first government verified UFO. Basically, they have a whole nother name for it. We're gonna take a little dip. We're not gonna dive in. Relax, everybody.
This is your conspiracy theory coming out.
Oh, here we go. Let me see here. Hang on.
You know, it's
second.
funny. You're talking about being a conspiracy theorist. I feel like the older I get, the more of a conspiracy theorist I become.
Yes, thank
It's just
you,
like you start looking at things like, man, there's a lot of stuff that's not adding up.
dude. So this was the first time that the military actually, said, "Hey, there's something," and there was this guy was a Commander David Fravor. He's a retired U.S. Navy pilot. Check this video out. I don't know if I could play it. I'm gonna try, but I hope it doesn't get like bumped off. It's freezing a little bit. Hang on a second. All right, so and here's the main, I guess, points of it is that this thing, it was actively blocking UAV. So it wasn't just a flying like object in terms of like could have been a rock or some weird, an aerial phenomenon like the Aurora Borealis, I think they call it.
Northern Lights, yeah.
Northern Lights. It wasn't anything like that. This thing was, and the computer obviously isn't loading here. But here it is. This thing was actively blocking the UAV. Okay, flying at speeds. I mean, they were flying jet pilots. They're jet pilots. They couldn't keep up. They were flying so fast that their marker. You could tell me what exactly this is here. I mean, those markers weren't able to keep up with the things, and it was over 40 feet long. So it wasn't like it was someone's drone at home.
No.
It wasn't like it was because you could almost see how. Okay, you could sort of give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was like a super high tech drone that the military's working on, but 40 feet long, dude. I don't know.
Because like the sometimes the services don't talk to each other, like so the Air Force won't tell the Navy what they're doing and stuff like that. But I don't know. I can't. Like I'm trying to look at the.
You can't confirm nor deny.
I can't. Like I'm looking at the picture right there of what that, whatever that is, and I can't like see
It's
aerodynamically
so
how that flies.
I'll show you. It's gonna load up here. I'm trying to get to it. Hold on a second.
Yeah. I've always thought that these things were like ridiculous in nature, like these like sightings or whatever. Because I'm like, dude, anybody.
No, I would
video
say
editing
like
could-
98% of them are false.
Yeah.
I would say 98%. And this guy ended up going to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he gave his whole account of it.
Oh wow.
And he's like a total like non-conspiracy. He's a
Oh,
military
I
dude.
saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a military dude, and he's not, military. He's an Air Force dude, and he's not trying to, he's not a conspiracy theory. He's not nothing, and he's saying like, dude, this thing was flying, and we
That's
couldn't
like
keep up with it.
That's like the stereotypical ones,
Yeah,
like when you see from movies.
watch, it's gonna do the turn. I think. Hold on a second. Let me get these ads blocked. But yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm a believer in like multiple dimensions, right? I mean, everything I look at,
Multiverse.
Multiverse.
Yeah.
Everything I look at, I look through the lens of the Bible, what Jesus taught. And there was clearly teachings of Jesus talking about there's other dimensions, there's other beings, there's other creatures, there's other things out there. I don't necessarily believe that this is something like, oh, it's a planet millions of light years away. I really don't. I think there can be life out there. Maybe it's ridiculous that it doesn't, or that it may not. Whatever. Point is,
Yeah.
There's definitely something out there when it comes to like other dimensions. Has to be. I mean, in my opinion, and this thing freaked me out when I seen that these military dudes were having their hard time wrapping their brains around. I was okay.
Like to me, like it doesn't look like any aircraft I've ever seen, or even new concept stuff. Like it's like a disc, so I don't see control surfaces like a wing or anything like that, or anything like even an engine.
That's what they were saying. It was there was no propulsion.
Yeah.
There was no signs of like heat coming out.
Yeah.
There was no The wings. It was just a floating thing.
It could have been Will Smith from Independence Day.
Definitely Will Smith.
Got to get me one of these. No, I mean, I'm not gonna say that stuff's not out there because you never know. And that's one of the things I've learned. Is like, I don't automatically discount certain things, especially if I don't know enough about it. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe you did see it. Like, just because I didn't see it or I can't fully explain doesn't mean that it didn't happen. You know, so it could be one of those things where it's actually might be a legit thing. I don't know.
Listen, let's leave that for another time then, man. I got this one video I want to show you, and I need to give your opinion on it.
Avoid clothing that might make you look like you're part of a gang. Avoid areas.
Wait a minute. Avoid clothing that make you
striped sweatshirt.
Oh Lord! You remember how it was when we were kids? It was like there really was like a Bloods, a Crips thing.
Latin Kings.
Like if you were caught wearing too much red or too much blue, you're in trouble. I mean, some parts at least, or at least depending where you grew up. But this kid here, this is like,
he looks like he's from Revenge of the Nerds.
Dude, I mean, there's no way that this was made by an actual, like, someone who's been through bullying. Like a teacher made this, or like a grandfather.
I don't know why Kareem Abdul-Jabbar agreed to this. It's terrible. It's a terrible idea.
It might make you look like you're part of a gang. Avoid areas where bullies are known to hang out.
Tony's gonna be our bully today.
Oh, here we go, self-defense. Okay.
Nobody fights like that.
Okay.
Ever.
If I stand this way,
like that's all you do.
And he has all these areas that he can hit me.
Okay, here we go. This is a good one.
Hey, you got some on your shirt.
That's right. Oh, don't.
So if you just stick your hand like this,
bro, that won't even work on a cat.
Stop. Don't come any closer.
What do you want? I was just wondering what we did in math.
Most bullies are going to be larger, stronger, and better fighters than you. Never be ashamed to run. We will teach you some stun techniques and dirty tricks.
Hey,
dirty tricks.
Leave me alone.
We just wanted you to...
I said leave me alone. Pretty good, huh?
Be careful not to grab the hair loosely. It will make the hair pull less effective. Wade, can you show us?
Love to.
Dude, this is not real. When I seen this, I said, "This is not real life." This is why people started getting more aware of bullying, because look how horrible these videos were, and like people trying to talk about bullying or trying to solve the solution. Whoever were the pioneers trying to solve bullying back in the 80s, it looks like 90s.
It looks like early mid-90s, maybe.
Those people were failing. The people nowadays,
they've never been bullied ever.
Yes.
I don't want to hear it. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you were not bullied. Bro, you're like tall
he
as
was the
hell.
biggest guy in the
You're not going to get bullied.
Nowadays, listen, now it's bad. Now it's the second highest killer of children.
Yeah.
I think it's some sort of disease. But the second most killer is suicide. Mm-hmm. It's because of social media. It's because parents don't ask kids, "Hey, how's it going in school?"
Yeah.
It's because of actual bullies.
Well, how did our parents tell us to deal with bullying? Like, at least mine was. My dad was always like, "Never start a fight, but you better finish it." Like, if somebody hits you, don't just stand there.
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying that kids should just be looking to get in the fights. No, that's not the point. But I mean, I can't control how somebody's going to raise their kid. You know what I'm saying?
I have a kid. He's 8 now, and thank God he hasn't gotten into. He hasn't never said anything like that. Bullied. But I've heard, and I've seen little kids express, like little kids, man, express real pain in like, I'm getting like bullied. Like I go to school and it's hell. I get it. And I don't know, bro. I mean, I think if it would ever happen, I would have the same reaction. I would be like, you got to fight them, or you have to stand up for yourself. But the school, the way they have it set up is they say, come tell the teacher and they'll handle it, which seems like, I guess you got a mediator. So it's like, I guess.
I mean, that's a good way of doing things. Like I was teased when I was a kid. I had a big head and big ears. I still do. I just don't get teased about it much anymore.
Because everybody's seen your shooting videos.
No, we're not gonna make fun of him anymore.
Yeah.
No, but like I got teased, and you know, I think I got into a couple fights as a kid, and you know, it's just I don't know. It's just sometimes they're telling these kids like, oh well, don't try and stand up for yourself or any of this other stuff. It'll just make the situation worse. I'm like, not standing up for yourself.
Yeah, and
makes it
also,
worse.
what's that teaching you is that you have to go to a third party to come solve your problems.
Yeah.
Where when you grow up, sometimes that's not the case. You got to handle stuff
Yeah.
yourself.
And there's bullies as adults too.
Oh yeah, there is.
And people don't we don't really talk about that much because it's not really a thing. But there's adults who
Yeah.
are bullies, you know. We deal with them in our work environments. We deal with them on the streets. Sometimes they're neighbors, you know. Sometimes they're the idiots standing in line at Walmart, you know.
That's why you got to open carry, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to get into how to get your open and carry license with Moses. Go.
Not happening in New Jersey.
Let's finish this video here. I think we did that. Hold on.
Dude, that
That's
hand
right.
up there
Oh,
is
don't
so ridiculous.
stop. Don't come any closer.
What do you want?
This is, I think, right about here. It gets
Most bullies are going to be
crazy good.
larger.
Hold on.
Oh, wait.
All right.
Biting is another simple technique.
Biting, Moses.
He just bite him in the nipple.
Wait, would you like to try?
Sure.
He just bit him in the nipple.
Here we go. Here we go. This is some jujitsu
Don't roll
stuff.
over
Yeah,
I
on
like
your
that.
stomach,
I appreciate
because
that.
the bully will grab
come on
your
the
head
ground,
and
homie.
bounce it off the sidewalk. Throw the candy in his face, and it gives me enough time to run. All I
You
have to
carry
do
like a pocket full of
Okay,
Jolly
hold on a
Ranchers.
second. Hold on a second. I forgot about this part. Throw the candy in his face, ladies and gentlemen. This is why they failed at bullying, and thank God these people are probably not in charge.
throw the
anymore.
water right in his face.
If a bully is approaching you, you've got a magazine, just roll it up, hit him, and run.
Leave me alone.
We just
Oh,
want
here we go. Here we go.
I said leave me alone.
You want trouble, huh?
Oh,
Pal.
hey, pal. Like really? Like why?
It's like the old Batman. Kaboom! Pow!
Ouch.
After any of the stun techniques,
I mean,
run like you've
you know,
never
if
run
you
before.
hit somebody in the twig and berries, man, they're going down.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's an interesting world we're in. I think social media is what really has been getting these kids going lately, man.
Dude, could you imagine if we grew up like? Because I didn't have my first cell phone until I was in the military. I was 18. So
I think I had one when I don't even remember when, because we had moved to Elizabeth, but I was just about to finish elementary school, so my parents were like, "No, stay in Newark. I always drive to Newark anyway, so I'll drop you off, pick you up, the whole thing."
yeah,
So I had it pretty young,
yeah.
but not only that. Let's say I had it young, but I didn't have Instagram
Yeah,
or,
they weren't
or
iPhones.
Facebook or TikTok on
I
on
can't
a,
keep
on
up
a
with all
flip
that
phone. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, no, it's just like we had like Motorola Razors. These kids will never understand of having to hit, you know, one button 3 or 4 times to get one letter.
Yes, dude. To say hi, it was like 555.
I don't even remember anymore.
Uh,
I used to be able to text without actually having to look at the phone.
on that tap one,
Oh no! Yeah, like I had the Razors where I actually had the.
that's
the number.
impressive.
Like, I used to be able to text without having to look at it. And the funny thing is, I had less typos on that than I do on my iPhone now. Because now I just fat finger everything, and it just autocorrects me. And I'm like, all right, I'm good.
Look at, I'm going to show you. This is the only time that bullying actually worked. Right? And this is the only time I condone bullying. Is when the actual media, when the trolls online made Sonic switch the animation. Remember that? Dude, they actually did it. Have you heard about this?
No.
The Sonic. Have you heard about the new Sonic? The
Yeah,
Sonic.
I heard it's coming out.
This was the original Sonic design.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a second. This was the original Sonic design on the left.
Mm-hmm.
They got the biggest storm of like trolls online saying like, why does he have human teeth? Why does his fingers? It was like some weird fingernails, and so over time, they were like, you know what? We're gonna get trashed like on every sort of like, and they actually switched it. They actually remade the whole movie, dude.
Kind of looks a little better, actually.
Yeah, I mean the more rounded off one
Yeah.
is the one. But look how creepy this one looks,
Yeah, it looks super creepy.
and look at how he stands. Like they were saying, he had actual like leg muscles and like weird features for like a movie. But that's really the only time that bullying worked, because the internet wins again, man.
I mean, bullying and trolling are two different things. Trolling means like, bro, you're just being dumb.
All right, here's a fun one we're gonna do. I'm trying to do some rapid fire links here. This here is. I'm gonna let it load here, and I'm gonna let you read it. These are called climate confessions, ladies and gentlemen. For Moses already, he's turned his face. What exactly this is? If you guys are asking, this is a
No one's asking.
website.
No one is asking about this.
This is a website
You're making me sit through this crap.
that people can go online and you confess your sins to the God of
Leonardo DiCaprio?
Leonardo. Well, I think he's more like a priest.
Maybe a bishop.
Yes, a bishop sounds cooler. Yeah, this is so you could confess to the God of what do you call it? Modernism, or I guess government, because you can literally. Let's view some confessions, and we're gonna write one.
I just saw that,
here,
like,
Moses.
do you grill a steak every week? Well, yes. Yes, I do.
Look, this one says, "I still eat red meat. I have been trying to like beans for 10 years." These are real confessions, dude. I am writing my confession on a cell phone made of plastic. Father, forgive me.
I feel like this is natural selection pointing out who's not going to make it.
United States, please forgive me, for I have sinned against our culture. There is no climate crisis, although we could be better. I read the Bible. The world never ends. Jesus saves it at the end. Dude. I commute every day for 40 kilometers in a car, alone, of course. Why, of course?
I don't know why you had to put that in there.
Because someone who actually sincerely says, yeah, I gotta get this off my chest, man. I'm gonna go confess. That guy's alone. That guy's in an apartment.
You definitely know
Alone.
He's single. He's a single man. No, he might live in his mother's basement.
Oh, he's looking at an electric car for the next one. All right. That just goes to show Tesla. I'm hoping Tesla makes electric cars cool. They're trying. They're almost there.
Have you seen the truck?
I've seen the truck. It looks
like Baby Yoda drew it from the Mandalorian. I've been seeing those memes.
It looks like a polygon. It looks like a weird Lego truck.
I was like, oh.
I think they made it that way because to make it, when you see it on the street, it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb, and it will stick out. That thing is
It's
weird.
definitely a
looking.
sore thumb.
Have you seen their test that they did
With the metal ball?
with the metal ball?
He's like, I think he said it was like a piece of metal that you could see through, a transparent piece of metal. And the guy's like straight, like throws a metal ball. Oh, I guess I threw it at it too hard. It's like, what did you think was going to happen?
So, for people who don't know, Tesla just talked about launching a new truck. What's it called?
The Cybertruck.
Cybertruck. And in this Cybertruck test that they did, Tesla, I would think that they would have it. Well, they're actually trying to build these trucks? My goodness. Wow, they're going to take over, bro.
I don't know. They got the problem with these things is battery capacity. You know, there's a Tesla police car, and they were chasing down some guy who ran, and the car ran out of juice, like mid car chase. He had to drop out in his, and then some other cops in like I guess I don't know, like a Crown Vic or a Charger had to take over
with the gasoline.
Yeah, the gasoline just roared right past him.
All right, so here it is. I don't know, man. See this one down here to the bottom left.
See that one would be okay.
This one would be cool. I mean, I get it, but this here, is this it?
You know what that reminds me of? The one that they released. It kind of reminds me of something that comes out of like the movie Tron.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
but like the original Tron, not the new one. The old one.
The one that they try to make look sexy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Or was it the ever played a Halo? The vehicle with the machine
Mr.
gun?
Chief. They
Yeah.
they had a guy that had a helmet that looked like him. It was weird. I gotta find it here.
That's what that vehicle reminds me of. Like you just put a mounted machine gun on top of it and it's like you're in Halo again.
And put a kid screaming in the background.
I heard it's actually I heard it's actually pretty quick. It goes from like 0 to 60 in like something ridiculous.
Look at this image with the with the broken glass. So they try to test it, saying that it's indestructible, basically. And they threw a steel ball, which apparently it is indestructible, but the steel is the one thing that it that can't hold against or something like that.
Well, they also said the Titanic is unsinkable, and look what happened.
There you go. All right.
So
So they threw a steel ball at the window during the test, and I don't want to play the video because I might get pulled because it's going pretty viral. But they threw it, and it broke. It was epic. Like here's him winding up. And it went boom.
you know, if you wouldn't throw like a girl, I wouldn't make fun of it so
Well,
much.
if you
Tesla armor glass. That's funny.
oh wow. Let me get it. I got another article here I wanted to show you.
This looks like one of those products that was just like rushed into,
Yeah.
production. Like, let's just get it out there and see what happens.
Well, they've been sort of struggling, man, right? Or have they been doing well? I don't know. I haven't kept up with what the hell they're doing.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of Teslas on the road.
yes.
They're not. I don't think they're taking over necessarily, but there's a good number of them I see on the road. You know, I'll catch a couple. A week during my commute, but yeah. So I mean, they're not my cup of tea. They definitely have the cool factor. Don't get me wrong, but
I think it goes to 300 miles almost now.
oh, I didn't know that.
Let me show you this article. I'll pull it up here. All right. Connecticut college students charged with violating state law prohibiting ridicule after using a racial slur. So these guys, they were acting stupid. I'm not here to question how much of an assholes they were, because they are. But here's what I didn't know, dude. That they actually you could actually get jail time for speech in Connecticut.
Yeah, it might be considered a hate crime.
The two were charged under Connecticut state law that criminalizes ridiculing any person or class of people on account of creed, religion, color, denomination, nationality, or race. The misdemeanor is punishable by up to 30 days in jail or a fine of $50 or both. The third individual was not charged for saying the slur. It's unclear whether the statute violates First Amendment grounds. The reason why I bring this up is because if you look at where we are right now, like in culture, if you look at Twitter bans you for misgendering somebody online already. You'll get banned off Facebook and Twitter, I believe, as well, if you speak against parents who choose to give their kids hormone therapy. Basically, kids who are 4 years old saying, I want to be a girl, and he's a boy. And so if you're against that, they're basically like blocking you or giving you a warning for discrimination. My thing is, culture is usually upstream from the government. In other words, if you want to see what the laws will look like in the future, you look at the culture of the day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that culture was shifting in years ago that eventually the laws caught up to it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a slippery slope. There's another article that I have here, and I was
Also, that's a little disproportionate. 30 days in jail or $50 fine or both. Like,
I mean, it looks like they're almost not serious about it.
That's like-
it's like I'm telling you, it's a foot in the door, and that's what scares me.
yeah, it's a beachhead.
Because
for
what
sure.
happens when one day I say, if I tell my neighbor, "Hey, man, I don't think you're 4-year-old is old enough to know whether it's time, whether he should stop his hormones or stop puberty, give him puberty blockers, maybe it's not a good thing. At what point will that be me saying, like these guys, the N-word, and I get arrested for it? At what point, if you speak against the woman who switched from woman to or man to woman and conveniently joined the UFC or an MMA organization,
there's been several
and beat
instances.
the crap out of
Put
this
her in a
girl.
coma, I think.
Put her in a coma.
Yeah.
So if I say, hey, maybe let's not maybe do that. At what point will that be 30 days in jail? Or
You're right. It is a slippery slope. And have you seen Dave Chappelle's latest?
I did.
He talks about the alphabet
so
people.
good.
He's like, you don't upset the alphabet people.
It was good.
And then shortly after that came out, the alphabet people tried to get Netflix to take it down, and they wouldn't. They're like, no. It's
Especially after it got almost 100% like consumer ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and then it got 2 like horrible ratings from like the critics, which are basically like the elites or the
nobody cares about those people anyway.
Right.
And generally, when I see those people criticize a movie, if they hate it, I generally like it. So
well, and that's see, you're a perfect test case of what they were saying. Is like when you say, oh, you should what's it called? Complex. Is it Complex or Vice writes an article saying, oh, no one needs to watch the Dave Chappelle special. That's when everybody was like, I'm definitely watching the Dave Chappelle's, and it was amazing.
yeah. Well, the funny thing is, he didn't just make fun of the alphabet people. He made fun of everyone.
Right.
And I mean everyone. And it's
what it
the
should
same thing. Like another comedian I really like is Bill Burr.
Oh, Bill Burr's freaking
Dude,
great.
he is hilarious. Like, if I was a comedian, ever to become a comedian, I would most likely emulate Bill Burr, except, not as many anger issues.
Dude, he does have anger issues.
Yeah, I love how he talked about it, too.
Have you ever heard of his Monday podcast or Monday morning podcast?
I just started
It's
following
him
actually.
alone, and he just rants, dude. I don't know how much energy and anger you have in you for like on a morning to be going off like that, going off.
I think he just sits in his room alone and just reads articles, and then it just pisses him off. And he sits there festering over it the whole weekend. His wife's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Leave me alone."
Take a look at this. And this is what I'm talking about, slippery slope. National Health Service trust in UK to deny treatment to patients it deems racist. In this article here, what it shows is that there's a thing they're doing called yellow card and red carding. If you are
So how many yellow cards do you have to get?
it's I don't know if it's almost like, are you joking? But
Is this like soccer?
real.
Is that like 2 yellows equal a red?
And this is in the UK, which again, it's like I said earlier, there's just a few dim lights on in the world, and they're just slowly going down, man. Because they were saying that if someone discriminates or makes someone who's taking care of you, like a nurse, feels discriminated against, but they word it very smart. They say if they're like in danger, well, that's obvious, right? If they're putting someone in danger, if someone's being violent, that's different, right?
Yeah.
You can't treat them. We're not going to treat you. But they worded it. Let me see here. It's a sports style disciplinary yellow card and then final red card, in which treatment would be withdrawn as soon as safe. The trust argues that the aim of the Red Card to Racism campaign is to protect the staff members from discrimination and racism. See what I'm saying? They're not saying it's to protect them from physical harm or, I mean, whatever happened to the Hippocratic Oath?
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to serve and take care of anyone. It's part of your human beings or any human being. They could say I hate you. They could be talking. They could be a skinhead and you're a black nurse.
Yeah, and I
can't just
know
not take care
a
of
few
them.
people who work in emergency rooms. I know a friend of mine is a nurse, works in an emergency room, and she sees all kinds of stuff. And people have tried to literally hit her or bite her, stuff like that, and she's still got to treat them. And now, in this instance where somebody's being, just belligerent
Or being an asshole. You're racist. You're disgusting.
As a medical professional, if they're not in actual danger of dying right then and there, get up and leave.
Yeah.
Get them all right, you know what? I don't have to deal with this. I'm just gonna get up and leave. Maybe report them to whoever. You know what I'm saying?
Or get someone else to maybe try to But
Yeah.
now this is what I'm saying is a slippery slope is 50 years from now.
Yeah.
If I'm this guy who says I'm against certain things, if
Yeah.
you're a Jewish, if you're a Muslim
And it's so
guy,
subjective.
and you're saying I'm against certain things, and now, is it racist? So now you might be refused treatment at one point.
I mean, look what's happening to conservatives. Conservatives are being called bigoted, racist, and it's like, and now, granted, there's two very extreme sides. Like there's a very extreme left and there's a very extreme right. I think the vast majority of people land in the middle. I know I do.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening is that we all end up getting grouped into one little box, all of us, when there's just a variety. And then what ends up happening now, it's like, like for example, I'll talk about the different dynamics in states. Like Georgia is vastly conservative for the most part, especially like outside of like Atlanta and Savannah is pretty conservative. And if you're conservative, you feel nice and safe. But they make fun of liberals all the time
Right.
in places like that. Not saying this is not just exclusively in Georgia. I'm just talking about. I mean, and it's like snarky remarks and stuff like that. It's nothing like bad. Yeah. But here it's like, if you even remotely agree with anything conservative, you're automatically labeled a racist.
Yeah.
So it's like, no.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Join this movement of people who call you a racist just for saying maybe Trump's policies, maybe all of them aren't bad, maybe one or two, or just by you slightly agreeing with him on any way, they paint you as racist. Now, slippery slope. Look into the future, and there we are. Refusing care, refusing. How about these guys that are getting cut off of Chase, Bank of America? Have you heard about this? Patreon. There's literally bank institutions right now who have shut down accounts and said you cannot bank, will not hold your money, will no longer do transactions for you between other merchants because of your views.
I think New York did that with a couple gun manufacturers.
Look at that. I don't even know about that.
Or I can't remember exactly which ones they were, but they were. It was either a gun manufacturer or a gun rights group. Now, basically, what it ended up being was that in an effort to, I guess, do gun control, whatever they're trying to do with that, they're trying to now limit how these organizations do business. So
this blows my mind.
like for example, New Jersey now has red flag laws.
Is that a thing for real?
It's a legitimate thing, and I'm legitimately concerned because it's just like, all it takes is for one neighbor who doesn't like you. Oh, you played your music too loud, but then they know, hey, he goes to the range, every couple weeks. Boom, phone call.
Okay, give me another scenario of how this may work out.
Well, okay, and actually, Dan Crenshaw got a little bit of flack for that.
Yeah, because this guy is supporting it.
He was to an extent, and I kind of get where he was coming from. I just don't think people let him explain himself.
Okay, but end of the day, this thing is happening right now.
Oh, it already is in effect in New Jersey.
I don't even know that, dude. And I'm pretty much all over, like, whatever's news articles. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought they were still voting on it or whatever.
No. Murphy, is that his name, Murphy? New Jersey governor?
I don't know. I name him the guy who just raised my taxes.
Yeah, clown face. He's been voting in gun restrictions and stuff like that. And, we've had this discussion. Those things only hurt law-abiding citizens, right? They don't actually stop crime or any of this other crap, because those guys are going to get, like, criminals are going to get guns no matter what.
Yeah.
We know it because it works like that everywhere else in the world. And so what ends up happening is, like, it could be a family member, it could be anyone, literally anyone.
Here's a scenario: wife and you having issues, and this happens where women or the guy will call in and false report domestic abuse.
Yeah.
What happens then?
More than likely they'll come and confiscate the guns.
Right? Because, hey, he has a gun, by the way,
Yeah,
sir.
because they feel
Or
like
she has a gun, by the way, sir.
They'll feel like it's an immediate danger, and so they'll come in and
now they have the right to
they'll
come and take it from you.
Right, and then you have to go and prove that you're not, that the allegations aren't true.
And it's a free court. It's all that's free, right? All that is free of charge.
I don't know.
And
I don't think so.
no, I'm being sarcastic, because what it is you are going to have to pay out of pocket,
absolutely,
thousands of dollars, if not more,
and
to just get your Glock back.
What ended up happening? A friend of mine, he told me, he lives in New York State. A coworker didn't like him. Now, this is a couple years ago, right? So a coworker didn't like him, said to the police that he threatened him with a gun. He did nothing of the sort. Would never. And like, I've known this guy for a while now. He would never do that. Makes no sense. He has way too much to lose to do something that stupid and reckless. And it took him, I think he said, almost 10 years to get his guns back.
Get out.
And so it's the government coming in and taking away what is rightfully your property off of what is going to be probably more than likely a false accusation. You know, and now, are there legitimate cases where somebody shouldn't own a firearm? Yeah, I think so. If somebody is mentally has some serious mental issues, they probably
First of
shouldn't
all,
own it.
most of these people who, well, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of these people who did these shootings, if you notice, not only number one, they're all on medication, on
Oh, yeah.
whatever they call
Some
these,
kind of psychotics.
some kind of psychotics. That's a easy string to detach. But also, they've been in touch somehow with the FBI, or they've been visited because they've shown warnings. They've shown, hey, somebody called them out already on it.
I think I hate to even bring this guy up because he deserves what he got, but the shooting in Texas at that church, right? That guy was in the Air Force, and he beat his wife and kid. I think they had a
Dude,
kid.
which one? There's freaking so many.
I know.
What the one in Texas?
It was a couple. It's been probably almost two-ish years now.
Not the one where the guy went after him with a car.
Yes, yeah. that
Oh
one.
yeah, okay, I got it.
So this guy had a case of domestic violence. Now, when you go to buy a gun, right? There's a questionnaire, and you have to answer that honestly. And one of those is, and there's several questions pertaining to: are you in any kind of trouble with the law? You know what I'm saying? Have you been,
Arrested
for domestic violence?
right.
And that is an automatic disqualifier. And they also talk about mental illness. Have you been, I think the word is adjudicated for any kind of mental illness or institutionalized for mental illness? That's an automatic disqualifier. You won't get a gun. But, so anyway.
You can always lie, but
You
of course
can
the
always
penalty is
it's pretty severe.
it's pretty bad.
But the other, so what in the case of that guy in Texas, he had a domestic violence issue, but it was never reported. It was never reported in the sense of it never went to a federal criminal database. And the database that monitors this kind of stuff, and the database that would flag, hey, he has a domestic violence charge if you were to go buy a gun. And he bought a gun, and that didn't come up. So that's why instituting these new gun control measures doesn't work. Why? Because it's not that we don't have effective gun control measures already in place. It's just that they're not being effectively carried out.
Implemented,
Yeah.
right.
And so it's not about if it were me, I was in charge, be like, look, let's just look at what we have on the books. Look at what's actually effective, and then get rid of what's not effective. Like the assault weapons ban that happened during the Clinton era. That literally did nothing to curb violence with quote unquote assault rifles. It did nothing. And now they want to talk about doing that again. And it's just like
A lot of it is them trying to posture and trying to say, hey, look, I'm trying to do something here.
It's
so
pandering.
that's what sucks, dude, is that you never get to solve an issue because they're all pandering. And so someone comes up with a stupid, like Beto, a stupid idea.
who's a phenomenal gun salesman, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm sure, it almost sounds like he was paid off by the NRA.
Obama was the same way. He started talking this crap. Dude, I remember I was in school in Texas. Bro, I have never seen an ammo shortage like that in my life.
By the way, Beto said that he wants to ban all guns, and when that happened, this is what he's talking about: is that sales shot through the roof? Like, oh yeah,
Dude, that whenever politicians do that, the gun sales go through the roof.
I don't. And so these guys say these stupid ideas. I'm gonna take we should ban all guns. You
Well,
don't mean that, and
It
you know
started
that,
with Swalwell.
what did he say?
His campaign was almost so. You remember him? He's from California. He actually recently farted on air.
Oh, that was great. Oh.
Then try to play it off like it wasn't him. Like it's like, bro, there was a notable pause in your speech when you farted. And then
I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up. It's
definitely
really
worth playing.
good.
So his campaign, he was the one who said he was going to nuke people if they didn't turn in their F-15s. It's like, really, bro? And that was literally his only thing he was running on. And then this guy went to Texas, of all places, to tout his gun control plan as president. He literally had nothing else to offer. And then, and by the way, his parents voted for Trump. That was the other
Really?
funny part. Yeah, his own parents don't even support him. So it's like, bro, So when Beto went the whole hell yes, we're gonna take your AR-15, AK-47, I was like, oh, he went full Swalwell. You never go full Swalwell.
Yeah, it sucks that you have to deal with these people pandering and you get nothing done because of it.
But you know what the problem is that people don't understand facts. They don't understand that there one has already been an assault.
Chris, so far the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans
Hold on.
all last week was that you don't have...
This shows how mature
There's
we
a
are.
lot going on here.
This shows how mature we are.
There's a lot.
Let's look at this fart video
All right.
for a while. The park right here.
Okay. There's a lot going on here. All right, let me explain to you why. Notice his body language. Let me full screen this. This is how
Oh,
bad
so we're
this
gonna go
is.
full analysis of
Full
the
analysis.
fart gate.
Somebody said that it was a cup moving. Someone said no. You guys are getting all excited for no reason. It was a cup moving in the studio, and it looked like it. But look at how synchronized this was.
So far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans
Okay, wait.
all last week
He leaned
to help him
forward.
cheat an election.
Look at his
And the
body,
complaint that
and
I've
he
heard from
and he stops
Ukrainians to help
talking
him
while
cheat
he's doing it.
Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the
Cheat
complaint that I've heard
an
from
election.
Republicans ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat.
It's like you
Ask
literally
the
can't
Ukrainians to help him
literally
cheat.
talk.
All right,
and
look,
fart
watch
at the same
this.
time.
And the
It was a
complaint that I've
smooth
heard from-
conversation.
The president used taxpayer dollars
Okay,
to
here we
ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the
To
complaint that I've
cheat
heard
to
from Republicans
an election.
all last week
And
was
even
that
his
you don't have
shoulders
anyone
went
who
up.
heard
If
the
you
call,
notice, this is
that
last
the
time we're doing
president
this.
used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
Oh,
And the complaint
you
that
had
I've
some
heard from
shoulder
Republicans-
movement. Listen, it's scientifically proven. Your diaphragm. Okay, it needs to.
Like you're gonna expel gas from either end.
Yes,
You can't do both at the same time.
that's right.
So-
That's right.
I mean, I actually saw memes about this before I actually saw the real video, and I'm like, wait a second, hold on, I gotta look this up. This is ridiculous.
I'm part of the FAT community, so I can comment on this.
Okay.
Okay.
What does FAT stand for again?
Fat.
Okay. Just making sure.
You thought it was an acronym for something?
I did. You spelled it out. I'm part of the FAT community. You could have said I'm part of the fat community.
You thought it was like I don't know, Firearms Association of Trigger. I don't know. No, it's just fat. I'm fat. So Lizzo is being sued by Postmates driver after rapper accused her of stealing her food. I'm going to show you what this lady, and this is, I'm speaking for, stop, dude. Give her a break. This is what she tweeted to millions of her fans. Hey, Postmates, this girl Tiffany W stole my food. She lucky I don't fight no more. Now, she posted on Twitter to millions of her followers. Number one, the fact that you're telling people, you know what? She tweeted out to millions of her followers the name, the face of this driver. The driver ended up getting death threats. Obviously, the driver started.
Whoa, no. Did she steal fries? Because that's serious.
That is,
Can't be
you know
stealing
what?
fries. I mean, it's one thing if your wife steals your fries because that's your wife, But
Part of the, you know what? I'm thinking here. Would I be that upset if, let's say, you order McDonald's, delivery, and they're missing the fries, and on behalf of the FAT community, we would be upset actually, and that would be valid. But I mean, this lady put this lady on blast, so now she's getting sued. You know what? I'm sure she's gonna get paid out, right? This lady's a millionaire. This actual artist is a millionaire. But the problem with her is that
I'll be honest with you, I had no idea who that was.
I only found out this week because of this story. I only found out this week. I'm like, who is what? And apparently she's a huge star. She's someone who supports all sizes.
Okay, yeah.
And you're too quick to say yeah, okay to that. Look, here's the thing. You can say, my thing is don't support unhealthiness, right?
Yes.
Yeah?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. It's just now it's this whole like body positivity movement where like every size is healthy. No, it's not. The thing is, when you start mixing in
Sure, my
science,
size is unhealthy. My physical therapist told me, he's like, well, you got two choices. You can let your back get worse, or you could drop some pounds and not be fat. Like literally, just like that. It's like don't be fat, and your back won't hurt as much. I was like, oh, imagine that.
Dude, speaking about Brazilian topics here, Lula, huh? Freed.
How? Well, I know how,
Yeah, right.
but
And apparently the situation now is that the courts are now gonna follow the sort of handout that sort of layout that he got away from jail from,
yeah,
and now other rapists and assault
case law, yeah.
right.
It wasn't just him that got out; it was a bunch of people.
Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to word this. The courts, I guess, use this as a layout of, okay, since he got freed this way by getting these loopholes out, my guy can get freed this way. So
It's a very bad precedent.
and for those who don't know, the Brazilian president Lula was put in jail for corruption, money laundering,
Some of the biggest in history,
some of the biggest in history.
not just Brazilian history. I just mean in history in general.
just
Dude straight up robbed an entire country. Him and everyone he's associated with.
and so there's another thing with, I think, part of his party. Let me just show you this. It's called this is something interesting in Brazil. It's called Movimento Sem Terra. I sent you a video on this, remember?
Yes.
With the guy.
Yeah.
This
Yes,
is
I remember this one.
do you know about this or no? Have you
I
heard
think so.
about it?
Is this where the guy was like squatting on some dude's land? He's like, oh, I can do this because of Lula or whatever.
Yes, my bad. Yeah, and well, I have that video, but I also found this one here.
Dude straight up pulled a gun on him, like, get off my property.
Yeah. So basically, in Brazil, and Moses, help me if I'm wrong here, or just add in the pieces where I miss out. There's this movement called Without Land, and these people, what they do is they, by law, they can invade your land and, in a sense, squat in your land, and it's legally, like, because I think it goes down to like the portions, and either the police can't come and remove them, the government can't come out and remove them. So these guys are taking like matters into their own land, their own hands. Look at this story here. Hold on.
Aí nosso país aí.
A imagem gravada do helicóptero mostra o momento em que integrantes do MST destroem o pomar. O trator derruba tudo que encontra pela frente.
So they're destroying the land out of spite and out of. And then look at what this lady says. She's part of it.
Na fazenda há 1 milhão de pés de laranja plantados. Os manifestantes dizem que só cortaram alguns deles para plantar feijão.
Não destruímos nada, retiramos pés de laranja para iniciar o plantio de feijão, entendendo que ninguém vive só de laranja.
A sede foi tomada.
So she was saying, basically, we took out a bunch of orange trees because we were basically, they were eating off of the land of the guy, of the farmer.
So they repurposed his land.
So they repurposed his land and said, I'm going to cut this down and replant some new stuff or whatever they thought of doing.
I mean, she's right. You can't live off of oranges alone, but at the same time, it's like, well, if you sell all the oranges,
and they're
you
not
can
your
buy
oranges. That's the whole point.
Well, you're right. That's the biggest point. It's like, this isn't even your property. Like, what are you doing?
Dude, it blows my mind.
Well, there was a thing I think Bolsonaro did, I think kind of early on, was that he allowed for people who live in more rural areas to, before there were restrictions on what kind of guns you could own in Brazil, now they've kind of opened them up a little bit so that people in these areas could better defend themselves, because like cops are, not like in the U.S. where like if you call a police officer, they'll be here in like 3 minutes.
Right. In Brazil,
It's a completely different story. You know that. And so by allowing these folks to better defend themselves, I mean, it was kind of like an equalizer for them, so they can kind of prevent crap like this happening. And so it's just ridiculous. I mean, the whole concept itself is dumb. Like, you haven't worked for it, but because I just want to be there and take over.
No, and I haven't explained it right. There's a much better explanation of it, like how they justify. Hold on a second. There's a much better way to explain what their logic is. What they started. I think the way this law started And my Brazilian friends who are listening now are probably dying and killing themselves right now because he's like, oh, that's not how it works. That's not how it went. From what I understand, all right, is that there's a portion of land that
We should do a call-in feature so people can call in.
Yeah, call in.
Like, look,
and
you're being an idiot.
this is bro politics, bro international affairs.
We're just talking crap here. We don't really
There's
know
a
what we're talking
part.
about.
There's a part of your land who you're not using.
Yeah.
That part of your land, people can move in and sort of help you. And this is how they phrase it: help you start producing in that land. But what if you don't want to? What if no? This is part of my land. I'm gonna do something in the future with it, or just leave it alone, or I don't. And this is what happens. You got situations like these. First of all, that's how he walks.
He just guns blazing. He's probably pre-gaming before this. A little bit of cachaça before he showed up. I'm gonna handle these fools.
Bagaço. So again, for these people are squatting in his land, right?
Yeah.
The guy's laying down. He's chilling. Look at him, dude. He's laying down.
No
chilling,
F's
dude.
given.
No
None.
F's.
Quem é o senhor que tá aí fazendo o que na minha chácara aí? Sou líder aqui. Líder do cacete, rapaz. Cacete, ô, o senhor tá alterado? Alterado o cacete, o que você tá fazendo aí, cara? Minha chácara, olha o tamanho da minha chácara aí, ó. Ah, o tamanho da chácara aí, você tá chorando, eu não tenho nem isso. Não, vai trabalhar pra ter? Não, eu procuro...
He says, go work for it.
Yeah,
I worked for it.
Eu trabalhei pra ter isso aqui. Vai ficar bravo por quê? Pensando o quê? Aqui eu não tô pensando nada, aqui já tá ser vazado aí, rapaz. Tá dominado. Não interessa.
Ok.
Aqui é resistência. Cadê o documento da tua chácara? Cadê o documento da tua chácara? Não, senhor, não quero saber documento.
I'll show you a document.
He's about to pull out a document, all right. The realm of the 38.
É tua chácara. Tá pensando o quê? Você tá desrespeitando o movimento sem terra, você não sabe ler, ó. Que cacete sem terra, rapaz. Vamos trabalhar.
Bro, he's legit quoted it, too.
A presidente Dilma.
Oh, here we go. Dilma.
Oh, under her
Lula's,
authority. They
They
impeached president.
Here we go, baby. Here we go.
Aqui ninguém entra. Ah, quero eu, mas é minha chácara? Então entra aqui, eu quero ver. Eu entro a hora que eu quiser aí. Tá pensando o quê?
He pulled out a knife on him. Or a scythe? Is that what they call it? A scythe?
I don't know.
Pega essa foice aí. Vamos ver?
Dude.
Dude just straight ran into the bush. He's like across the street talking crap still.
He's like, I'll be back. Boom.
Tem suma daí também. Vamos embora daí. Aqui não, aqui tem dono, rapaz. Aqui trabalhou pra ter isso aqui. Aqui não tem negócio, não. Aqui não, jacaré.
Dude, that's full Brazilian right there.
Oh, he went full Brazilian on that one.
Full with all the quotes. But I mean, listen, it's a sad situation seeing people, without homes or whatever. But it's also sad to see someone get their stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't give them
like
the
that.
right to just invade and
Yeah.
take from other people.
But ladies and gentlemen, we're about an hour and 30 in. Maybe a little less. I'm losing track of time.
Yeah, it was fun.
I appreciate you guys hanging out. Moses, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
We're gonna have you again pretty soon. Have him again pretty soon.
I'm always down to talk some trash, man.
That's it. That's it. Follow. What's your Instagram? Plug your Instagram if you want people to follow you on Instagram.
Modas86.
Modas86. That's MODAS 86.
Yeah.
All right. Follow me on VINNNI on Instagram or Brazooka Podcast on Instagram, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.